Hey guys, welcome back to Jenny from the Chopping Block. And today I am so grateful to introduce you to an amazing human being that I've had the privilege to meet in person and discuss wellness with, actually, at a Tony Robbins event in LA almost 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's just amazing how certain people come into your life. And now we're sitting here today, and I'm honored to be able to show you guys everything that he's up to and what his unique light that he has to share with the world. And I just also wanted to note that today, Byron, you've actually really inspired me and on your live in the Comeback Challenge, because I've been working through some thoughts recently regarding a startup business and just some input I've had from other people. And honestly, it was kind of, what's the word? It was kind of like making me sad when people would say, stop buying the cup of coffee. And it's like, what about all those people out there that, are just getting by? And then people are kind of downplaying, like, don't go buy that coffee. Like, that's somebody's livelihood, But what I thought about was when you were saying, like, why not teach people maybe to come and buy the coffee, make it themselves? And that's like a big part of what I think part of my mission is, like to teach people to maybe come and buy the products, or those, like, maybe have like a kit that they could kind of make the thing on their own to maybe save them money, because those little things add up to be big things. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it was like, and I'm also grateful because I know that you were brought to me for a reason, to come help me inspire my audience. So I want to tie that into what's your opinion on wellness? Because that's how we connected, and now you've inspired me through my journey. Can you talk to the audience a little bit more about wellness and what that means to you?
Sure, Jenny, definitely. Wellness is something that it's at the core of, I think, everybody's being in some capacity, because the more we take care of ourselves, it allows us to do more and achieve more, because it dictates how much energy we have throughout the day. Think about it for a moment. If you feed your body the things that it's not serving, if you just eat cakes and cookies and junk food, things like that, there's only so much energy you're going to have to do things. Versus if you feed your body what it needs, you can be able to run circles around someone else. Or another way to look at it is just picture someone running a marathon. What is it that they're going to need to do to be able to run those 26.2 miles? Are they going to be sitting around beforehand having pizza and beer and then do it? Of course not. They're going to be giving their body the nutrients. They're going to be eating the right types of carbs, the fruits, the veggies, everything that's needed to get them going. And we have to develop that same mindset that in order to achieve more, we have to give our body what it needs so we have the energy. Otherwise, we're cutting ourselves short. You think about how much sleep people need, because they have to sleep so much as they're not giving their body the nutrients, so it's struggling. Versus you feed it, like, oh, wow, you wake up, you're full of energy, instead of, oh gosh, another day. It's like, well, you should be kind of happy because it's another day, versus, sorry, you drew the short straw today. Goodbye. You don't want that.
That's amazing. And I've really embodied those thoughts and feelings, because honestly, since I've met you, I've lost 20 pounds. Since last year, I've lost 30 pounds. So it's like, I'm starting, awesome. And it's been my New Year's resolution for 3 years. And finally, I'm taking ownership of that, and just like realizing how important it is for like, and I think when I finally made the changes was when I realized that that's the first step. Like, if I feel good, if I'm confident, mm-hmm. if I have the energy to do 20 million thousand things,
right?
Then it's gonna benefit me. So I love that.
Right, it's a must. When you think about it, you have the energy to do the things that you want to do. You feel motivated as a result, instead of like, oh no, I'm too tired to do that. I'm just going to sit on the couch and just melt into it and just become this couch blob. I don't want that.
Yeah, it's crazy. This morning, I'm like, what's the first thing you think about when you wake up? So it's been like, all right, I do my gratitude. I have air in my lungs. I'm alive. But now it's like, I need to get outside and walk. I need to go work out. It's like, what? Who am I?
Mm-hmm. Right. It's a powerful thing when you can start your day off with momentum, because the way that you start the day is ultimately what happens. So something like I love doing, and this goes back down to like when I was in the Air Force. I was going through the training. When we got up in the morning, the first thing that we did was we made our beds.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't think much about it, like, man, why do I have to do this? But at the end of the day, you start thinking like, oh, it was powerful as you accomplish something right away. And then you build that momentum. If you something as simple as that, you go for a walk, you get your energy going, or you go work out, whatever you want to do, you're accomplishing something, and now you move forward with that momentum instead of, yuck, I have to get my day started, blah, blah, blah. So the more you can start your day off with the win, the better.
And to the morning routine, it's funny, I was thinking about Joseph McClendon today, big time, because, we take a piece of every mentor that's changed our lives along the way. And I was thinking of how he says, put the water next to your bedside. And that's,
Right.
especially if you're having trouble waking up. So I actually have a case of water by my bed. And then I was thinking of him also, like with the music. Like today, I was a little emotional about a few things, and just like, those choices to like listen to an amazing playlist. I think it was during one of his New Year's Evolution programs, where you make a playlist for yourself that's going to pump you up. Like not those sad songs, like those pump up songs where you want to shake your ass,
Right.
Is there any tips that you have for your morning routine that maybe you could share with the audience?
Sure. One of the things I like to do of the moment I wake up is, like it's something I do before I even get out of bed. I visualize what I'm going to make happen that day, because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and what you're imagining. So by playing that out in my mind, it becomes that much more real to me. Like, okay, this is how that phone call is going to go. This is how this meeting is going to go. I'm going to create this type of ad campaign, or I'm going to talk to this person. And visualizing it is extremely powerful. So I like to start my day off with that, because it's just something that it helps me set the tonality of everything I need to do. Because then I think about it from the standpoint, if I'm going to have these calls that are going to go great, what do I need to do to make that great? And it sets the momentum. It sets the actions I need to take one after another to get there.
It's so powerful. And I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for your service. And I don't always make my bed first thing in the morning, but I was wondering, do you still?
Oh, yes, I do it because it's right there. Look, like it takes me all of like 10 seconds to do. And
Beautiful.
that's something you have to think about it. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. Now, granted, because I'm a guy, I don't have like 3 dozen pillows or anything like I've seen some beds out there where it's like, okay, this one has an exact spot. Like, there's 2 pillows. One goes here, one goes there, and then there goes the blanket. 2 thumbs up. I'm done.
Awesome.
And there's a little lesson in that too. It's keep things simple, because the more we complicate stuff, the more effort that has to go into things that are unnecessary. We have enough things in our lives that are going to take a lot of effort, but some stuff, keep them simple.
I love that.
We have more energy to do the complex stuff. Like, well, I have to make it look like this, because if you have to put in, let's say, 30 minutes of effort to make your bed every single morning, how likely are you going to do it?
Versus, it's great. That's another part that I was loving what you were saying even this morning, because I was thinking about, like, how like companies have like their motto, like Apple. We've been hearing a lot about Apple, and their motto is think differently. They're the innovators. Right. I think I found my motto. It's like the little things add up to be the big things.
Right. They always
keep it simple. Just keep it simple.
Right. Another way to look at by keeping things simple, look at the Grand Canyon. Look at these valleys that are out there. Of course, this happens over a long period of time. They start with a little trickle of water, and over time it builds and builds and builds. Before you know it, bam, you have this big canyon. But it was from something very simple being repeated over and over again. And that's the way we have to look at stuff. If we can develop those habits and we become accustomed to them, they become extremely powerful over time.
So I want to dive into your business and strategy coaching, and I want to hear everything about that, how you started in that journey, how that's going for you. I know that you're working on a course that I'd love to talk about after you tell us about that. So tell me everything.
In the beginning, there was.
It all started once upon a time back in the day.
Right, exactly. So in terms of the business strategy, it's combining various things for business owners, entrepreneurs that I've seen lacking, because what happens is someone hires a business coach, they're going to hire a marketer, they're hiring a website designer, they're hiring all these different people, and there's not a vision that ties everything together because they're only seeing one component of everything. And what that means is there's not the entire big picture. So I'll give you a great example of a person who just started working with, that they had one person who is, built their website. They have another person that was their business coach, and they're all having different visions of things, but nothing that tied them together. So what that means is there's not an overarching strategy to make it work. And that means that if someone was to drive, let's say, Facebook ads or Google ads to a website, because the message is not consistent with what someone else is seeing, it falls flat. And then it continues on with the type of service. Well, how are they supposed to continue along this sales journey? But because it's not congruent the whole time, guess what happens? Lower conversions. People are not saying yes as much. So the core principle behind it is, before we do anything, let's take a big look to see what in the world do you really want to accomplish in your business. And then we have to work backwards. How do we make that thing happen? So if it's to increase the number of customers, well, what type of customers do you want to have? How much do you want them to be spending every single time? How frequently do you want them to be coming to your business? It's those things to figure out, because then that drives everything. So what's the experience? If they have to come into a store, what does that need to look like? But if it's all online, what's the experience that needs to be there? How do they get there? What does your website need to look like? What is the type of things you need to have on your social media? And then that ultimately gets down to, who in the world are you marketing to in the first place? Because sometimes businesses, they want to say, my product helps everyone. Congratulations, you're competing with air. And that is not what you want to do. Because last time I checked, it doesn't cost anything to breathe. You go, yep, I breathe. That's great. I'm going forward.
Abundance is like air.
Right. So while there's plenty of customers out there, you have to be specific. If you look at some of the world's largest companies, if you look at, let's say, Walmart, do they market to everybody? No, of course not. You look at Apple. Do you think they're walking around thinking everyone is going to have an iPhone in their hands? No, of course not. Because you look at the price point of it, they're not going to compete with that phone that's you can find at a grocery store for $50. They're two different markets. So the moment that is business owners, entrepreneurs of all sizes grasp onto that concept, it changes everything. Because no matter what you do, there's going to be people that say no to your offer. And that's okay. You want people to say no. It's essential. It's no different than if you're dating. You're not going to walk into a bar and say, that's right, all of you ladies are going to say yes to me right now. No, of course not. The majority are going to say no, but you have that person who's, guess what, your ideal client, you want that one to say yes, like, oh yes, her, she has to say yes because it's our time. That's what you want.
Awesome. I love that. And it's been a really hard concept for me to grasp. But thank you for giving me more clarity on that.
Oh, you're welcome. I love to add humor into it. You can go, wow, that is true.
That's true. I liked your interpretation of it, because I've heard it and been like, no, but now I'm like, all right, that makes sense. So can we talk a little bit about the course that you are putting out that I'm so excited for you about in a couple of weeks? Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what that looks like and how that's been for you?
So this is a culmination of several years. I'll give you some context with it. Years ago, I did financial planning. And often what I would have to do is figure out ways to allow people to be able to put money away for the future. And I'll give you a couple examples. Like, I can remember in one case, a family that was making really great money, that if you were to look at them and go, oh, they should have plenty to put away. No, they had basically nothing left over at the end of the month because they were going out as part of one of the issues, out to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Both of them.
Lucky.
Think about it. If you're spending an average of $20 to $30 every single meal, each person, that adds up really fast. And so then we don't know, we don't have anything left over. So I'm looking at the budget, okay. Like, so where do you like eating out at? And they're telling me all these places, like, oh, we go here, we go there. Well, how much do you spend at that place? And over there, and you can see the look of horror in their eyes, like, oh my gosh, because they never thought about it. It was making one little shift. But like, okay, so instead of going out to eat like 24/7, what impact would it be if you start cutting that back some? Like maybe you have breakfast at home, you maybe just go out to lunch with your friends once a week and you bring your lunch in, or instead of going out to eat dinner 7 times a week, some of these restaurants actually have cooking classes so you can learn how to cook your favorite meals.
Listen, Linda, this is what I'm talking about. I was just thinking how much money I spend too. Like sometimes my girlfriend will come over during the week and we'll play cards and order out and spend like $50 on lunch, and it's not even good. I would make it better, no offense, but like, hello.
Right, exactly. So it's a little that type of a habit where by them making that one change, suddenly there's this large chunk of money they now have available to put away for the future. So the course is going to go into a couple things. One is about the mindset of money. And it's overcoming the programming, the beliefs of when you look at advertising, because I think a lot of times this is something that's missing of why are we conditioned to like certain things? If you look at TV commercials of you see like here, okay, here's a great one. You look at, let's say, commercials for McDonald's and Burger King and these fast food places. What do you see? You see people that look like they're healthy, they're in great shape, they're having a great time, they're happy. So it's programming you.
It's like the Pepsi commercial.
Right. That if you consume this, you're going to look good and be as happy as they are. So at the subconscious level, this is what you're doing. And guess what happens? You eat it and you consume it, but you don't even think about, you're not looking like the model there. That's not what happens. You look like entirely different. You start gaining the extra weight. Your wallet gets getting thinner because you keep buying this stuff over and over again. It's no different than if you look at, let's say, cell phones. Samsung, LG, Apple, they all do the same strategy. They're showing you, oh, you can create all these amazing pictures, these videos, you name it. And that's what they're selling you. Like, oh, I'm going to do that. But how many people actually need the majority of those features? Because for them, that improves their bottom line. They know that they can sell X number of million of these products. That's going to make their shareholders happy. But at the end of the day, the consumer doesn't need all of those features. So they just keep doing that over and over again. Those are just 2 examples of things that people are doing on an ongoing basis that we're conditioned to. When you look at TV out there, you look at the styles that people are wearing, you think, in order for me to feel successful, I have to look this way. I have to dress that way. I have to drive a certain type of car. All of these things are conditioning and programming that cause people to spend money in an unnecessary fashion versus what's going to make the most sense for you. That's why the first part is going to be about that mindset. Then it's going to dive into how do you start finding the hidden areas in terms of money. Where is it all sitting at? Because we can make little tiny changes. Here's the reality of it. When you look at most of your financial programs out there, I put them in the same bucket as weight loss diets. They kind of suck. Where they tell you, oh, you need to eat this and do that. You're like, I don't want to have rice cakes. That just sounds awful. And that's what it's getting people to do.
You won't catch me dead eating a rice cake.
Yeah, there might be something wrong. Like, okay, there's nothing left for the next 3 weeks.
I heard peanut butter and jelly is good on them, though. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Yeah, that rumor, I'm not going to test it. Like, I'll put the word out. Right. But here's a great example when you look at all of these different types of financial things. Like one of them out there I've seen, is telling people to buy, let's say, oh, you just pay cash for a car, you buy an old clunker, or these types of things. Well, that affects someone's esteem. And you see, when you do that long enough, it can affect like how you're going to want to show up. So does that mean that you have to say, well, I'm just driving a clunker to save money? No, not at all. So here's just a little example of what you can do. That a lot of your nicer cars out there, they don't change their body styles except for once every 7 years or so. So getting a car that's 3-4 years old, well, what this can allow you to do is, let's say that you want to drive a nicer car, get one a couple years old. It's going to come in at the same price point as something that's newer, that's a less expensive car. So you have that. So you can be driving a nicer car on a more regular basis that it's costing you the same as something that's a less expensive car. But here's where the little zinger comes into play. And now this is something I'll get into the course of how you can be able to pay it off faster. But when you look at these different types of vehicles, you have to think about your mindset of how you're showing up. That's the most important thing there. But that's just one aspect. But here's the other key thing. A lot of these higher-end cars, they're designed to last much longer. So for example, when I lived in Europe years ago,
What part?
I was living in Germany.
Cool. Is that how you know Diana?
Yes. Yep.
That's so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, squirrel.
I know. I am like, that's me.
It was not uncommon to see BMWs, Mercedes, and a lot of different types of cars on the road for 20 plus years because people were taking care of them. And other than like you could see like a little sun damage like on the leather seats and things like that, which is natural over time, you couldn't tell because they were well maintained. So you could see that if you have vehicles that are designed to last a long time, then you're not going to be worried about, well, in 5 years, something could start falling apart on this, but you just take care of it. So you can have something that's going to last you a little bit longer. So that's just one little aspect of how you can make those little shifts. And other things too, it's in terms of grocery shopping. I'll have an entire section where I'm talking about that. But
can we do another show just on that?
Yes, sure, definitely. But here's a little preview. If you're thinking about ways to save money, avoid going in the aisles.
Yep.
That you
the
go
perimeter, right?
Right, you go for the perimeter. You go in the aisles for, let's say, staple products, like let's say like rice, like salt, pepper, things like that, where they're in the aisle. But otherwise, forget it, because if
it's healthier,
it makes a difference. Here's a great example that just comes to mind. Like, oh yeah, there's a perfect one of celery, because I like to have celery juice, in the mornings, and
every day.
So this is where it's comical. So you could see, let's say, the stalk of celery, it's like 95 cents a dollar. But then if you're to get one that was just the celery hearts, where they cut off the tips and they cut off the base, suddenly it's like $1.50, $2. Like, wait, that took all of 2 seconds to do, but you're going to essentially double the price practically. It's those things that add up, because we're paying for that small amount of convenience that takes us maybe 10, 15 seconds or whatever.
It's crazy.
Right.
It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
So those are the things that make an impact of what the heck we're doing. And so when we can adjust those behaviors, doesn't mean that you're not having some of those things. No, you just have to shift how you're doing it from the types of places you go grocery shopping at, because that makes a difference. That of one place is going to be good for some products and not for others. You just have to make an impact. But here's a great one which can impact so many people's lives very easily. Potato chips. Think about this for a moment. If you're getting this big bag of air, that you're going to spend $2, $3 for this thing or whatever it's going to cost, and it has really no value into it. Versus like if you're hungry, it's like getting a bag of chips, get a banana. Like I was at Trader Joe's the other day. It was like 20 cents per banana. And that banana has more of an impact in a positive way than a whole bag of chips. Mm-hmm. And so this is where you have to make that mindset shift. You have to change your belief system that the banana is going to serve me. The bag of chips is just going to make my gut grow. You have to start changing the association.
Or you can make your own chips.
Right. Exactly. You can be able to do that. So like, I like to occasionally have chips and things, but I make them myself. Because then I know exactly what's in it. It's not going to have all these preservatives and whatever. It's going to be like, what's in it? Coconut oil, some sea salt. That's it. And some pepper. Fancy. So the more we take control of our lives, the better. So it's going to have that. But then this is where it's going. Some of the difference can be. I'm going to talk about the realities of how you're able to start saving for your future, because there's a lot of misconceptions, wrong ideas out there, because It's if you're putting money away and it's like, I wasn't going to talk about it. Like, I'll just throw this in there. Why not? It's like just putting that there. It's like those little bonuses. So here's something that happens. A lot of your financial professionals, there's a lot of great ones out there. So many comes down to the recommendations is based on where they're working at, the broker, the dealers, and saying, here, we want you to promote these types of products. And like the average person, they're going to be investing in mutual funds. But there's hidden things you have to understand about. There are fees layered all throughout the darn thing. And regardless of whether the market goes up or it goes down, they're still making money.
So yes for mutual funds?
No.
No for mutual funds.
No. So I'll explain why. That when you look at it, and there's different things that you can do, and that's a whole big conversation itself. But when you look at the overall structure of them, they have fees that are hidden inside of it that most consumers just don't know where to look for them. But some of them, the fees are going to average even upwards of 2% annually. And that has a huge impact on the amount of return that you're getting. But because it's buried in a prospectus that most people never read, it's like reading the terms of service when you're signing for something online. Like, I'm not reading that. It's buried in there. Mm-hmm. But that over time impacts what you're able to do.
Can I ask you a quick question? I was having a conversation. It's so funny. I didn't even know Finance Day was going to be yesterday. And I was talking to my mom about like how her mom was so good with money, and a lot of the things that we're talking about, she did, she paid herself, she put the money away like it wasn't hers, all that. But what do you think about the CDs, like a 3-year CD, 5-year CD?
Well, let's see. You have a mattress, so you could put the money under there and achieve almost the same result.
Shit. Okay.
And it's because
I think they did put money in their mattresses, literally.
Like, well, that.
So it makes sense.
Right. You have to think about it. You're not getting a great return on it, because here's what happens. When you're putting money into a CD, the bank is going to use your assets to lend it out to other people. So let's say they're using that to offset what they're doing in terms of loans, credit cards. So they're going to give you, let's say, 1.5%, 2%, but they're going to go ahead and make 6%, 7%, 8% on your money.
Got it. Money today is worth more than money tomorrow.
Right. So you want to always look at how can you give your money a job. So doing something consistently. And so that's one aspect of it. The other thing what you want to be thinking about is how do you avoid the losses as much as humanly possible? Because if you look at the market overall, you can come out ahead if you do one thing. You minimize the valleys. So if you think about with everything they're talking about yesterday, like here's the ups and downs of the market. If you can avoid the down areas of the market, you can come out ahead very easily. And does that mean that you're trying to time it? Of course not, because you're trying to compete with AIs and things like that are being used on Wall Street to make trades. You're not competing with that. I don't care how smart someone is, you're just not. Versus what you can be able to do is, this is something I'll go into more detail, is where you can use products such as insurance policies based on how they work. And these things have been used for decades of how you're able to participate in the upswing of the market and not the down part. So that means that you, in terms of return, you don't have to have as great of a return to get ahead because you're not losing. That makes a huge impact with what's possible. So I'll go into a lot more detail on that.
I love that. So what inspired this? So you're basically saying you're going to help people find the hidden money in their budgets, and you're going to protect them. You're going to protect their funds from the ups and downs. Wait.
Right.
Is that right?
So there's a couple things that inspired it. One was looking at the turmoil that seeing people going through. You look at people that are losing their jobs, that they're, they had to take pay cuts and things like that. And just people are struggling, from that aspect. But then also seeing what people are doing, that saying, well, I'm going to do this to save money. But you're not living. Mm-hmm. Versus if you make little changes, now you can have that extra amount. So here's an example I was telling a friend of mine the other day. Let's just say that a consumer, they go through the program, they figure out, wow, by changing these things in my budget, I found an extra $300, $400. And then let's say they refinance their mortgage, and now they found another $200 a month. Well, let's say they're at $600. Well, that's going to make a nice impact for the average family here in the U.S. But what if you want to take it to another level? So let's say that and this is another thing talked about how you can be able to increase, because most financial courses only talk about, well, here's how you save, but no one talks about how do you make more, because you can only save so much at the end of the day. Unless like, okay, that's right, rice cakes for everybody.
Oh my God.
You're not going to do that.
You're so funny.
You have to look at how you can make more. And let's talk about like something as simple as it could be driving for Uber, because do you have to have any special skills for it? No. Can you drive a car? Congratulations, you're qualified. Mm-hmm. To getting into understanding sales, to like leveraging your internal talents you can be able to go like yourself, you can be able to start coaching people. You can be able to go onto different freelance websites. I mean, the list is immense of the things that you can do.
So much opportunity out there. Yeah.
Right. So let's just see someone did some basic stuff and they just brought them an extra $600 a month. So between them making those adjustments on the front side, like internally with how they're spending, they created a savings of $600, and then they made an additional $600. Well, now there's a net of $1,200 available to put towards their future. And they didn't have to make any radical shifts to accomplish it. Mm-hmm. That's where the power comes in.
It's beautiful. And I just want to ask your opinion on, I keep thinking back to this one person I was watching their live, and she was a beautiful person. She was very upset about like she didn't really have a lot of money. I know a lot of people are struggling right now, mm-hmm. Maybe even to put food on their table. Mm-hmm. And then to think about saving, especially now, like how is that? What would your advice be? Because she was saying like, I'm just gonna focus. I'm only gonna buy food and stuff, maybe for her business or whatever it was, but she's not going to buy the extra stuff. Is it mindset? Is it like, what would your suggestion be to somebody who feels like they can't even take care of what they need to take care of, let alone save?
First, it comes down to shifting the mindset, the belief power, because as long as you believe this is all that there is, that's all that you're going to attract. Versus if you know that the goal is, let's say, you want to be able to put away $300 a month above and beyond what you are capable now. Does it mean that you can be able to do it at this very instant if everything is stretched thin? No. But it means that you have to start looking at what actions can you take, because that's a missing equation. Because some people say, well, I can't do it right now. So they throw their hands up and give up versus, okay, what do I need to do? Because we have to look at how do we ask better questions. And if you can't do it at this very particular moment, what things can you start doing to make that a reality? So let's say that she wanted to start putting away $300 a month in July. What would she have to begin doing on a daily basis to make that happen? So
love that.
Make it as simple as possibly to be. That means she needs to create an additional $10 a day to be able to do that. So when you break something down to a small thing, like, well, now you have the ability to do that. So you start asking yourself, what can I do each and every single day to generate $10? And it compounds up to that amount. Because sometimes we think like it's climbing a mountain. If we're looking at Mount Everest, I have to get to the top in one go. Like, you're not a helicopter, so you just can't go right like a shot. So, but it's like running a marathon. How do you get there? To the finish line one step at a time, and that's the way we have to look at it, because when you break it down into those small components, it becomes so much easier. Exactly. I'm looking at what David said. There's exactly a part-time job, the bad habit elimination. All those things add up because it's the behavior shifts that we do that gets there. Because as long as we believe that we can't, guess what? You're right. We can't.
Beautiful. And I'm asking for myself too, because I saw myself in her situation too.
Yeah.
So I just want to honor her. And thank you so much for that insight. I appreciate that.
Sure. And when you think about it yourself, there's so many things that you can be able to do. Just look at, let's just go into this real quick here. What is one thing that you know that you are amazing at that people go, I'd love to pay you for that? What is one thing?
I don't know.
Well, let's think about this here. Would you say on a scale of 1 to 10, you are an amazing chef?
I would say, yeah, I'm good. I don't say I'm amazing. I'm really good at hosting. I'm really good at, I'm a really good sous chef.
Okay, so let's think about this here for a brief moment. Most people around the world are not going out to eat as much because places are locked down, or people, they're still in this state of, oh no, I'm not going to go out and eat. So they're having to spend more time at home. Do you think it would be powerful if you could, even if it's something small, like let's say $10, $15, you put out something that demonstrates to people how they can be able to cook their favorite restaurant meals at home? How do you go out and find the right ingredients? All of it, what you need? Do you think that would work?
Yes.
It's that simple.
That's yes.
What happens is we want to look at everywhere else, like, oh my gosh, I got to look over here and there trying to find this idea, instead of like, it's right here. Just
oh my God, I forgot to mention this. So remember when Sarah was saying she prayed on her idea?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening to me. I feel it. Mm-hmm. Or maybe that's just where my focus is going.
It's literally that simple, because when it comes down to creating extra income, this is what happens. People go online, they look at, here's like, oh, learn how to create an ad agency, or learn how to become an affiliate marketer, learn how to do this and that, versus you're starting off at ground zero there, versus you've been doing something for years, decades, or however long. You start with what you already know because you're already good at it. You've put in the work. Yeah. Don't start with something else. Now, granted, if you're the world's greatest typewriter repair person, you might need to change things up.
Got it.
And start with where you are, because that makes the impact of getting out there and having a positive impact in your life, because people need what you have. You can think about it. We live in this day and age. Look at the Food Network. What is it? It's a TV network full of cooking shows. And I'm talking about food. So people are interested in it. It would be a little different if that didn't exist, but that proves the market is there, that people want to learn.
That's such a good idea. Yeah. Wow. So can I ask you your favorite lesson that maybe you've learned, or your favorite part of marketing? Because marketing can be so fun, right?
Oh, yes. Marketing can be fun, interesting, and, well, just plain fascinating. Okay. I'd say my favorite part is understanding human behavior, because that's all marketing it is that how do you, with your words, the visuals, influence someone's behavior for them to say yes to what you're offering? That's all it is.
Wow. Okay.
And it evolves over time because the communication medium changes. Think about it over the past, let's say, 20 years. Before YouTube came about, before you had all the online advertising, in the past, if you're a business owner, you were limited to, if you wanted to reach people, you had radio, you had TV in your area, you had your different types of newspapers, things along those lines, and you're fairly limited. But because of technology, now that it doesn't matter who you are, if you have a phone, you can be able to advertise your business online. So there's more possibilities available now than ever, and it keeps advancing of the things that are possible. So here's something that's fairly recent, but it's extremely powerful. In the past, to advertise on TV, you needed huge budgets. But because more people are watching TV via Roku's, Apple TVs, the Amazon Fire Sticks, the Chromecast, all of that, well, you can now create TV commercials that run on those devices, and it costs you essentially the same type of ad budget as running an ad campaign on Facebook.
Really?
Yes.
Cool.
So you can reach people in a new medium that wasn't really possible several years ago. That's the beauty of it, that there's so much evolution that it makes people accessible, so you can be able to grow your business with where you know your customers are. So if you know that in your case, let's say they're watching the Food Network, well, you can advertise there.
Yeah. There's so many cool things. I went to a JT Fox seminar Angela George gifted me in New York City, and they were talking about going through Facebook and looking at people's favorite TV show, or if I could go on and look at everybody whose favorite TV show is Food Network, and then maybe know that they're into that, and then maybe try and, connect with them for whatever I wanted to share with them. That's a good idea. I like that.
Oh yes, there's so much that's possible when you peel back the layers and you see that you can be able to target people based on what they're already interested in. No longer we live in this day and age where it's the spray and pray method that you just have to hope that enough people will see the message that a couple of them are going to buy.
Right. That's funny.
Well, think about it. If you have you're advertising with a billboard,
I was thinking billboards.
That you have to hope that there's enough people in your target audience that are going to be looking up at the right time to see your billboard on a daily basis, so it creates brand awareness.
I would love to do like street art brand awareness.
Well, think about street art. You have a phone. People walk around like this all day long. You can be able to do things. And then to take it to the next level, and the technology is improving, but that's where it's getting into, let's say, augmented reality, where you can be able to look at a picture of something and it brings up more information about it.
True. Yeah.
Like and where you can see that, if you're curious how that works, look at Amazon. That if you go into like where they have furniture, you can have it, essentially be able to place that chair, that sofa or whatever in your room so you can see how it's going to look like. That's where things are headed. Or if you're out grocery shopping, you're kind of curious, I wonder if this is cheaper online. You can actually open up the Amazon app on your phone. You can go to click on the camera. It will scan the actual product and then find it on Amazon. So you can look right there and see, am I getting the best deal on this if I just buy at the grocery store?
I've done that. Yeah.
It's
crazy.
Oh, yeah. So technology keeps evolving. That's those key components. No matter what we do, we have to stay ahead of the curve on that, because that's going to determine what is possible. You look at with what Tony is doing for this UPW virtual, that there's no telling of when you can be able to have a large event again. So you can either say, well, that's it. Or you look at, so here's the box I have to operate in. How can I create a winning scenario? And that's exactly what he did. So we have to look at technology and see how can we be able to adapt in the current environment. And that's the key for any business, that if we keep saying, well, I'm just going to wait until things go back to normal, who knows how long that could be? It could be in 6 months. It could be next year. So if you wait for that, you could be out of luck. Versus here's what we know people are doing right now. People have not stopped spending money. That's continued. But it comes down to, how do you get in front of them with your offer, and what offer will they say yes to right now? That's the key.
Beautiful. And I really appreciate, I'm so pumped up just by everything you've been sharing, and I'm grateful for you. And I really am just so curious about what got you into this. What got you into business, your passion, your hunger, your, like, all this knowledge that you've accumulated? Like, can you tell me more about that?
Sure. So it's actually kind of an interesting story. When I was a kid, I just always envisioned myself owning a business. I was like that anomaly, like, wait, where's this coming from? Because I never owned a business before. Like, I'm going to own a business. Okay. That's how I always thought about things. When I was in the Air Force, people would say, well, why didn't you go and fly a plane and things like that? Like, I thought business was interesting. So what did I do? I learned, on all the bases, you have hotels, restaurants, fitness centers, childcare, all these types of things. Well, they needed to make a profit. So I was the one that I wanted to oversee all that stuff. So to me, it was figure out the patterns, the frameworks that's needed in so many different industries. And that just kind of built upon it. When it came to finances, I was curious about, how does this work? How can you be able to get ahead of the game? Of how do you win when you're not supposed to win? So, and here's why I say that if you look at anything in the financial markets, the only way that you have, if you're going to sell that at a profit, that means someone else has to buy it. Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, let's say something started off at $1 and it went up to 10, and then that means that you had a gain there, so someone else has to buy that here. It doesn't mean that it's going to keep going up. It could go back down. So you have to look at how can you be able to put the odds in your favor that you're going to win majority of the time. It's changing how you view things, that it has to be a balance. That if you think about just your basic type of math out there, in order for an equation to balance out, both sides of the equal sign have to be in balance. It's like with chemistry. If something's out in balance, it doesn't work. So the same thing comes out with your finances, with money. How do you look at something so that way it comes out in balance, but ultimately you tip the scales in your favor so that way you know that you're doing something in such a way that allows you to win instead of doing it where you're not necessarily winning.
Was there any businesses that you looked up to that you were like, wow, I really like what they're doing, or any brands that you loved like as a kid, like during those times that inspired that?
Oh gosh, like when I think of growing up as a kid, interesting enough, I'd say out of all the things I was exposed to, it was McDonald's.
Cool. The Golden Arches.
Right, and here's why, like, of course, because but they do all these things, you get the food, and like, yes, but let's look at the lessons behind it, that of how they started shifting business to get there, like in terms of marketing. What did they do? They built in future customers by conditioning children. You have Happy Meals. So that way, like, oh, because they put the food in there, that means that they're going to keep wanting to have this. But also they built it in that they package it in such a way with toys and things like that for the parents. Like, I don't have time to entertain my kids or cook anything. Here's a little meal. It comes in a nice little handy dandy box. So it makes the cleanup easy. So they started solving all these different problems that are out there. And then in so many of the stores, what they had at the time was, guess what? Places for kids to play. So this way, the parents, they can have a nice little quick meal together and let their kids burn off energy and run around. So that way they didn't have to do this, like have a moment of themselves. So they were constantly innovating days to meet what their customers wanted. Mm-hmm. That's the key. And that was the biggest lesson, that if we focus in on how do we adapt to what our customers are needing at any given time, we'll come out ahead. When you think about businesses that are struggling, especially in today's environment, how many of them are not doing that one thing? They're looking like, well, we're just going to keep doing it the way that we were before. Not going to work. You have to adapt. And that's an amazing book.
My mind is like, it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
So I could talk to you for hours, but we're almost ready to join the comeback challenge, and I have a few more questions for you.
Yes.
So we're talking about all this food, and it's making me hungry. What's your favorite food and or recipe?
Oh my gosh,
I'm running out of paper over here.
That's a loaded question.
I'm on page 4.
Let's see.
Back and front and back.
Wow. So let's see. One of my favorite dishes that I like, it's, I don't even know if there's a real name for the recipe. So I made it because it's tasty. But what I like using is spaghetti squash.
Yes.
Oh, yes. So I use like spaghetti squash. I'll mix in like different sweet peppers. And then I'll add in like a different vegetable of medley. I'll have like mushrooms then in there, as well as like some of those meat replacements. And so there's like the other veggies like carrots in there, of corn, like peas, green beans, things like that. And it's just really hearty. So I like doing that. And that's one version of it. But then sometimes I don't want to go through the headache and hassle like fixing spaghetti squash, because it's not like you can just make that in 5 minutes. So I'll use basmati rice instead.
Beautiful. You know what's really good too? If you use the Beyond Beef and make like taco boats.
Ah, nice.
So good. So you use basmati.
Oh yes. And here's something else, like in terms of like you have your Beyond meat out there. If you're looking for an alternative, which is really tasty, go to Trader Joe's and get their meat replacement. It's really good.
Beautiful. I wonder what Chipotle uses, because I'm into that. Theirs too.
I have no idea.
Meat replacement. Is it like a block of it, or is it where would I find it?
It's like a block. You can find it in their meat section. They have this little area where it's for like meat alternatives, dairy alternatives, and it's all right there.
Sweet. All right, my friend. And now, if you could have any superpower, what would that be?
Superpower. I would say super speed, and here's why. I can get more done in the day.
Dude. Super speed.
Oh yes, because otherwise, think about what happens. There's only so much you can be able to do. Versus if you can move faster, that means that in the same 24-hour period of time, because it's a finite amount that we all have. Well, what if you could move twice as fast? Now you can get twice as much done in the same time window.
Yeah, I've been sleeping less, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
And then lastly, I just want to know if there's anything that's on your heart that you want to share, maybe something that's helped you throughout this time. Anything that comes up for you to share with the audience?
Sure. I would say one of the most important things that each and every one of us has to do is we all have to focus in on our own health and what we're doing. Because you see people out there that are full of negativity, that are bashing others for wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. And the reality is you're not going to change someone else's opinion, because people will find content and research that supports their arguments. The same thing with politics. So you have to focus in on yourself, because it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't make any sense. I'll give you a great quick little story here. Many times when I'm out grocery shopping, here's what I'll see. I'll see someone wearing a mask. So they're doing things to protect their health. But then when I look in their shopping cart, it's full of junk food. So they're protecting themselves from the virus, but they're not protecting themselves from diabetes.
Diabetes, y'all!
So
what is in your shopping cart? Just kidding.
So we have to look at it. If we have to protect ourselves 360. And that means that you have to look at what you're putting in your body all around the board, because it's like, hey, you protect yourself from a virus, but you're smoking, you're doing all these other things. So this is not going to do it, but one of these other dozen things will. Where's the logic?
Beautiful.
So you have to focus on your health.
So important. Byron, I cannot thank you enough. I'm so grateful for you, and I love you. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. David, can you just answer me this? I know, are you a Gary Vee guy and a Tony guy? Because I feel like I've been seeing you everywhere. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I will definitely post more information about Byron and this program. And hey, Eric, what's up? So it would be, I'm sure it could be valuable to everybody. And I'm really excited. I cannot wait. And let's go get ready to pump it up in the comeback challenge. That's right. I love you. Have a great day.
Oh, you too. Definitely.
Bye, guys. Ciao. Sorry, I'm really wild right now.
Oh, it's all right.